Sat Shri Akal, Sadia Nu. I wanted to talk about my experience in India, just because I've had a lot of lovely people reach out to me and ask for tips and advice for their first time to go to India. So my first time visiting India was in January last year. This was for my Punjabi wedding reception. So we got married in New Zealand and did the ceremony in New Zealand, but of course we wanted the big party, so we went to India for our wedding reception. And I was so thankful to bring my sister and my mum as well. Again, this is just my opinion. There's people that have been that have had a different experience to me, so take whatever you want from this. So I actually took my toddler, who was 15 months old at the time. So that's a whole experience in itself, is traveling with a toddler. I was also 8 weeks pregnant when I went to India for the first time, so I was already feeling a bit seedy. I wasn't feeling my best. So that also kind of like factors in the way of how I felt about my first trip to India. I guess, yeah, I'll start off from when we arrived in India. So we arrived to Delhi airport. We decided to get a driver, just because it is hectic driving there. That was my other first experience, is the traffic. It was crazy busy getting out of the airport, and the merging, like, oh my goodness, that is something else. So I'd pretty much just closed my eyes and just like prayed that we made it out okay, and we did. The cars literally get so close, like this close to each other. It's insane. My husband's from a village in India called Jindala, and so that, I think that was like 3 hours drive from the airport, so we still had a bit of traveling time. So we, like, it was like midnight at this point, and we stopped off, I can't remember the name, but I feel like it's a classic thing that you do. You stop off at a restaurant to feed everyone, and I was like to my partner, oh, we can just, like, you know, head on home if that's what everyone wants to do. Like, they've all had a big night. And they're like, no, you need to like feed the people that have come to see you and things. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. So yeah, we had some food, and then we headed to my husband's house, which was so exciting. Like, I've seen photos of my husband's house. So yeah, just to actually see it in person was amazing. That's where we met Mummy G. So she welcomed us into the house, and that was, yeah, a cool moment. And I'll see if I can attach a photo of the room we stayed in, and they decked it out to say welcome home to Zora, our son, which was quite nice. And we had cake and things. Anyway, so we arrived 10 days before our wedding reception, so we thought that might have been enough time to get organised and get things sorted. Of course, my sister-in-law and father-in-law and all our family had already started majority of the things that needed to be done for our wedding reception. We just kind of needed to get our suits sorted, our jewelry, you know, all the last minute things organised. So shopping, yeah, that's something else too. Visiting the cities, because we had to go to Canal, which was only like a 20-minute drive, thankfully. So we went to Canal, which is where my sister-in-law lives. So we did our shopping there, and it's a whole thing, like a whole day just to like tick off one thing, which was, yeah, interesting. I attached some photos of me trying on dresses and seeing what colors worked and what didn't work with my skin tone. So yeah, you kind of feel like a princess, like when they're, you know, dressing you up and things, when you're trying on outfits and things. So yeah, we tried on some clothes. I stayed away from like street food and things just because I was pregnant, but also because I was a little bit nervous of trying street food in general. The other thing is crossing the streets. There's so much traffic. That was kind of scary with like a toddler in tow. The other thing I would recommend is, if you are traveling with a baby or a toddler, is having like baby wear. So I would highly recommend something that can, you know, help you hold your toddler in those busy streets. Be super cautious when you're traveling with a baby who's not used to such busy roads and things. So yeah, so it was a whole experience, you know, like getting your suit, like choosing your outfit, getting it fitted, then like trying it again to make sure it fits you properly. As much as I prepared myself for India, like I asked all the questions to all our friends and family that are from India who live in New Zealand. I asked my husband 1,000,001 questions. I still don't think I was prepared. And that's just because, like, being in India is very different to like any country really. So I've been to Bali, but that's just something else entirely. So in our house, the power would go off quite often, even in the city. Like when I was getting my outfit trying on my outfit, and I was in the cubicle, the power would go off and it was pitch dark, and I was like, this is scary. my husband didn't prepare me that there aren't showers in India. I mean, I know you can have like the cold water coming from the shower head, but yeah, being like, again, being 8 weeks pregnant and like tipping water on yourself when you're feeling not the best, not fun. This obviously is pretty common sense, but bring your own medication from your own country, like paracetamol, ibuprofen, all of that good stuff, because in India I did find that medication was a bit like stronger. My toddler unfortunately got a really bad chest infection while we were in India, so we had to make sure we had our own medication, so I knew like, you know, how much she was having and things like that. That's the other thing. It was really, really, really cold, like bone chilling cold. I think it's because there's like no insulation in the buildings and things, so like obviously it's cold outside because it's their winter, but normally in New Zealand and things, like when you're cold you go inside your house, you can put on heaters, your house is insulated so you feel a bit warmer. Like I used to laugh when I would FaceTime my sister-in-law and she'd be wearing a beanie and I'm like, why are you wearing a beanie inside? But I get it, like now that I've been to India I could not wear a beanie inside, it was that cold. And like warm socks to bed, like jerseys to bed. I did get food poisoning at the end, even though I was being super cautious of what I was eating. I did get food poisoning 2 days before we flew out, so that wasn't fun. I was not feeling that good at the end of the trip. My husband like got sick. I think it's just when you're used to a different, you know, lifestyle, and he's been in New Zealand for about 12 years now, 13 years, so he's obviously visited India in that time frame, but yeah, he still gets sick every time he goes. So I don't know how, but if you can build up your immunity somehow, recommend that. Yeah, the other thing was, yeah, we were so busy like getting things organized before the wedding reception, and then after, we had a lot of free time, which was actually quite nice. That's when I could kind of experience India. But at that time, I don't know if you guys would remember, but there were protests going on in India, so a lot of the borders were closed, so we couldn't do a lot of traveling. So we did fortunately get to go to Amritsar, so we did go to the Golden Temple. That was amazing. Like that's something else in itself. I can't wait to go back and experience that again next time we go. Yeah, I guess like I could talk for hours on my experience in India, but I guess the main things for me, like in my opinion, if I was to advise any of my friends or family that are going to visit India, is one, if you are having friends or family come with you, make sure they're booked into a hotel, just so that, and make sure you have like a taxi driver that can speak some English that can help, you know, transport your family and friends, like your nearest and dearest, from A to B, so that you don't have to stress too much about that, because we were organizing like a wedding reception, so I didn't have enough time for my sister and my mum, which is like one of my biggest regrets. Yeah, so the second thing would be making sure that you bring your own medication, especially if you have your own children coming with you. Oh, actually, I forgot. One other thing that I kind of struggled with, again, it makes me sound so precious, but in New Zealand, growing up with 3 sisters, we still like knocked we still knocked on each other's doors, like when we wanted to see our other sister in the rooms and things. Like there was privacy, like you would knock on your parents' door, you would knock on your siblings' doors, but in India sometimes there aren't even doors in the rooms, it's just like a curtain and people just come on in. Like that took a bit of time to get used to, and I've always wanted to look presentable at home, because you could have your neighbor rocking up, you could have your friends rocking up, you could have your relatives rocking up anytime without any warning. So it's making sure that you're always looking like presentable. Like at home now, if I didn't have anyone coming over and it was just me at home, I would just be wearing sweats, you know, but you have to put in a little bit of effort to look presentable, especially if you are the daughter-in-law who's just come from New Zealand and wants to, you know, make a good first impression. So yeah, I did struggle a little bit with feeling quite overwhelmed with a lot of people coming and visiting people as well. It was a lot of socializing, and mentally that can be quite tiring, especially when it's another language that people are speaking their native language, of course, but I still have a lot of Punjabi to learn, so I got quite tired quite easily. So I wanted some time to myself, and there was not much time to myself. I think that's also the beauty of being in India, is like you're just surrounded by friends and family all the time. But at least I know next time to be prepared for like being bombarded with love, if that makes sense. Like people are going to come and visit you and just want to talk to you and things. So Tori Punjabi bolo, so I could speak a little bit of Punjabi. I can listen and understand a lot more than I can speak it though. So I had a few close cousins who actually spoke really good English, so I would be like, can you help me? Like, can you help me say this? You know, there was such a godsend, to be honest. I actually, like, although I had some experiences that weren't ideal in India, I am actually really looking forward to going next time. I'm mentally prepared to know what to expect. The thing is, in India, they might just take your you have to be quite cautious with your child because and I mean this, like, if you're at home, your neighbors might come and want to play with your son, which is completely fine, but they might take him off the property and not let you know. And that sounds like that's normal in India, but in New Zealand, if someone like takes your kids off the property, you're just like, oh my god, where are they? Like, what are they doing? So there were a couple of times I like got quite, you know, irritated when someone might take my kid on, like, off the property and things like that, and I'm just like, I need to know where he is. Probably seemed a bit dramatic to some people, but I would rather make sure my kids were safe, you know what I mean? Like, you just want to make sure you know where your kids are, especially in a foreign place like that you've never been before. But I just, yeah, I loved meeting all my husband's friends and family that I haven't met yet. Actually got to meet my husband's daddy. She's actually passed away recently, so it was quite nice to actually meet her. And she was just like, she was so happy just to meet me as well, and it was such a beautiful moment meeting her. I also used to get really confused with the names, like Masi, Mami, Chachu, Chachi, like meeting all of my husband's family. Like, they would want me to know who they were, so but next time I go, I'm going to make sure I like look at the photos and videos of us and be like, is this your Chachi? Is this your Chachu? Is this your Masi? Is this your Mamu? Like, making sure I know. Yeah, I guess just take it all and experience it all. And obviously, it can be quite overwhelming at times, but remember, it's like not forever. And you will look back at your time and be like, wow, that was amazing. Like, I got to do this, that. So yeah, just really embrace the culture as much as you can. And just really enjoy yourself. I'm really looking forward to going back. We might be going end of this year, or maybe in like February, March next year when it's not too cold. Just because I really did not do too well with the cold and things. So, but yeah, if you have any questions or you have anything else that you found out when you first visited India, please comment below. I love to hear other people's experiences as well and their opinions. So yeah.